Hello, everybody. You just in the end of the tests. I'm waiting, Dr. Ashvin. Okay, it's here. And we start this live about scleral fixation. Hello, my friend. Did you listen to me?
Yes. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Hi, how are you guys? Everybody, how is everybody there?
Yes, Ophthalm University, we with us today, Ashvin. They will go the transmission by Zoom too.
Fantastic.
Yes. And you will start in 5 or 10 minutes.
Sure.
Let's go to do the last tests.
Yes.
Let me test your videos. Let me see. Number 4. Okay.
Perfect.
Let me looking for the. Hello, everybody. You are testing the videos. Let me see. Thank you, my friend, to accept my invitation.
Thank you for having me. I mean, this is such an important aspect of all ophthalmic surgery. You know, it's just changed the way that we do everything and it's so important that you brought out this beautiful, innovative technique of, doing it on Instagram Live. It's fabulous. I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Tell me if your video number 1 is okay.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Your video 1, okay. Number 3.
Number 2, yes, perfect.
Number 2, let's go to number 3.
It's a little, it's twisted, this one. But, okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. We can do it. It's fine.
Yes?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. The number 3?
3, perfect. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You are only doing the tests.
Yeah.
You are starting in few minutes. And number 4. Okay?
Yes. Very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I may look to my last time, my PowerPoint here. And you start in a few minutes. Everybody can go inside. If you can, looking for your tests too. Ashvin, you can do. I'm only looking.
No problem.
For everybody in the live, you start in a few minutes. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Number 1.
Let's do this.
Let's go. Number 1. Hello, guys. Okay, today, the part 1 of this live, you discuss about the basics of scleral fixation. This part, it's important. In the second part, Dr. Agarwal will discuss about this challenge case, okay? First, I will discuss about maintainer. How important it is to use a maintaining and scleral fixation. Anterior and posterior.
Puta madre.
Maintainer. Anterior vitrectomy. How important it is to do an anterior vitrectomy before to start the scleral fixation. When to use scleral tunnel or when to use cornea incision. The learning curve. Overcoming challenges and techniques. Okay, I will discuss these points. After these points, you will in Dr. Ashvin you will start it. Okay.
Yes.
Let me go. Perfect. Let me see. Let me check my PowerPoint here. I will share my PowerPoint with you, and the number number one, is anterior maintainer. Okay, the anterior maintainer, Dr. Ashvin, you discuss it in his part, and is important like a posterior maintainer. I don't have experience with anterior maintainer. I use posterior maintainer. Okay, you can choose your maintainer, but number one is important to use a posterior or anterior maintainer because to avoid hypotony. This is the number one. You need to avoid hypotony, and anterior and posterior maintainer in my schedule is the rule number one. Okay. Now I will show you the video. Here the video that you can see a posterior maintainer, how to insert it before the anterior vitrectomy. You can use it 3.5 millimeter from the limbals, observe. And you need an inclination and go quickly, okay? And then a simple forceps to hold the trocar, and then you connect the BSS to maintain the eye with a good to avoid hypotony, okay? Then a hint for you, okay? Number two, basic two. Let me start basic two. My basic two is vitrectomy. When to do the vitrectomy? Let me show you the vitrectomy. Let me see if this video, not is the video. Yes. Okay. Observe it. On a vitrectomy. Imagine you don't have material to vitrectomy. You can do a direct incision, 3.5 millimeters from the middle. Sergio, it's so hard. Yes, but in the past, before the maintain the trocar, everybody did the vitrectomy like this. Let me repeat again. Okay, observe. About 3.5 millimeters. Okay, from the limbals, and then you do the direct incision to insert the trochanter to the anterior vitrectomy. Okay, let me show you the video. Okay, here's the video, for example, and I like to use triacinolone, okay? I like to use triacinolone. Observe, about 3.5 millimeters from the limbals to remove all vitreous, all anterior vitreous before to start the vitrectomy. Okay, how not to do? The next question. Here, my friend. Don't do the vitrectomy by the main incision because you can increase the lost vitreous and you can produce retinal detachment, okay? Then this video shows how not to do by the main incision. But Sergio, I don't like to do an incision in the sclera. I'm not comfortable. What to do? You have this option. 2 new incisions, 3 and 9 o'clock time. Okay? A small incision. And you can do the vitrectomy by the cornea, but not to do it by the main incision, okay? Observe, this is the option to do the anterior vitrectomy by the cornea. You can do 2 new incisions, 3 and 9 o'clock, and remove all vitreous. But please, again, the video, please don't do it by the main incision, okay? At the end, imagine you do. Let me show you this video. No, just no. Let me see here. At the end, if you did the vitrectomy by the sclera, at the end you need to use a 80 vicryl. Okay, you need to close the incision at the end. Perfect look. Watch it. how to do parameters de la vitrectomia. In the end, you discuss about the parameters, okay? And then you do a simple knot in the incision by the sclera. Then you have two options: 3.5 millimeters from the limbals, or two new incision, 3 and 9 o'clock time, about 1.8, about 2 millimeters, because the anterior point trocar needs to be stable. Okay, let me go to my basic history about the scleral fixation. My basic history is scleral tunnel or cornea incision. It's my opinion. Is the right one? No. But in my hospital, in my patients, let me show you. I use this, okay? Lower than 3.5 millimeter incision, if I need an incision lower than 3.5 millimeters, cornea incision. If I need an incision bigger than 3.5, I do scleral tunnel. But Sergio, why you do scleral tunnel? You not to do cornea incision bigger than 3.5 millimeters, because the final vision results, there is a lot of high aberration. Observe this topography. This patient has a high order aberration and a high astigmatism. And at the end of the results, the vision is low, okay? Because this, I don't suggest cornea incision bigger than 3.5 millimeters. Okay, let me discuss here about the scleral tunnel, okay? No, this one, observe. Here example about scleral tunnel. Observe. This is a patient not to scleral fixation, this secondary implantation. This patient has a support bag, but observe. And now you use a rounded knife and go slide step by step, and you need go ahead the limbals. Observe. Now you have a good scleral fixation. Observe. Now you have a good scleral tunnel. Okay. Then, in my opinion, if you need an incision bigger than 3.5 millimeters, you need to do a scleral tunnel. Okay. Let me stop the live at this moment, and I will do a synopsis for you. Okay. The number one. Okay, anterior or posterior maintainer. If you start today or start to use to do scleral fixation, anterior or posterior maintainer, because you can have a big hypotony. Number two, anterior vitrectomy to avoid loss vitreous. Okay, to avoid retinal detachment. You can do it by the pars plana, 3.5 millimeters from the limbals, or you can do it using two new incisions by the cornea. Okay, incisions lower than 3.5 millimeters, cornea bigger than 3.5 millimeters is by sclera. Is the right one? No, is how I do. And I can tell you, I do a lot of scleral fixation every month. Okay, let's go to my basic 4, because I want to see my friend, Dr. Ashvin, to talk the challenge case. Okay, now my basic 4, overcoming challenges. Man, observe this video. This is the water balloon technique. I don't know if you know water balloon. I don't know if it's the right name, but observe this case. Observe this case. It's an amazing case. Observe this hypotony. Man, you observe. I have a posterior maintainer here. Okay, I have posterior maintainer here. Okay, I can have the solution now. But again, Imagine if you don't have the posterior mantenea. When I start to study with scleral fixation, nobody tell me it. Observe. Okay. Again, let me repeat. And okay, I like to ask for the audience, if you do with scleral fixation, what to do? Man, when I was in my fellowship, I had one case with a big hypotony. And in this time, I didn't use posterior mantenea. Man, I need to do about 10 or 12 knots in the sclera and the cornea, because I had a huge hypotony. And I used a lot of OVG. And man, it was worse. The audience, anybody has the solution for this case? Observe. This irrigation is on, but observe. And anybody in the audience, I call it water balloon. Observe. It's simple. You use the cotton swab, observe, and use the cotton swab and close the incision, observe now, and press the incision, and then the eye will observe. How simple is it? But if you don't have a posterior mantenea, observe how the ball is filled again. Can see? Then is my hint for you. If you have a case like this, don't need to do a suture, don't need to do OVG, don't need to insert OVG. You only press the main incision with a cotton swab, and then the eye will feel like a water balloon. Okay, let's go. My last part is, what is the best technique? Malbrand and Lewis, Scleral, Agarwal,
Yes.
Canabrava. What's the best technique? First of all, I will present this is Lewis and Malbrand, because why I tell is Lewis and Malbrand? He was the first guy that presented scleral fixation using Prolene, D10-0 Prolene, and fixate it in the sclera. But what Lewis did different? Lewis create the flaps. Then these flaps that you can mortgage, the Prolene was created by Lewis. Okay? Then Scleral used a 3-piece IOL and remove it from the eye and a scleral. Then Dr. Agarwal insert for us, present for us the glued IOL to do the technique more stable. Dr. Agarwal, that actually you discussed today, create a flap and use a glued IOL to do more stability for the IOL. Then Yamane made like Scleral, but Yamane create the flanget, and Yamane buried the flanget inside the scleral tunnel. Then about Canabrava, let me show you the video that you discuss here. It's here. 1 minute. Ta-na-na. No. I don't believe I don't have my video here. It's bad.
What?
It's impossible. I don't have my video. Do you believe, Ashvin?
No, it'll be there.
Okay. Okay. Are you share my screen? Okay. I share my screen, and it's possible to do. Okay, I share my screen now. Perfect, no problem. Like I did in the last live. 1 minute. Okay, here I'm sharing my screen. Observe here in the mouse, it is a 26 gauge insulin needle, okay? And it is a 50 Proline suture. You insert this Proline suture inside the insulin needle in the both parts, in the both sides, okay? And you can observe now. You do the first flange and insert the Proline suture inside the eyelet, okay? Inside the eyelet. And now you repeat the movement in the other part, okay? Remove the 50 Proline suture again and do the second flange because this insert the IOL, a single PMMA IOL. It's important, this part. This part is important. You need to insert the IOL in the sulcus. Observe how the IOL is stable in this moment. If you insert the IOL outside of the sulcus, you can have tilt. And to avoid tilt, you need to insert the IOL in the sulcus. And observe, a scleral tunnel, because I need 6 to 7 millimeter incision. Then you can cut about 2 millimeters from the basis, observe here, and do the first flange, okay? And the distance is 2 millimeters. Again, the second part, and do the fourth flange. And now you set the IOL in the right position, okay? And you finish it, okay?
Marvelous.
Thank you, my friend. It is the Canabrava technique using a single piece IOL. And about the fourth flange using a foldable IOL. The fourth flange is a foldable IOL. I suggest an IOL that has 4 eyelets, like Acus AO60, okay? I don't suggest, if you go to AAO, to American Academy website, you have the 3 chapters about the 4th flange. And there are some surgeons that do a hole in the IOL, like I did with an IOL punch. And I did a lot of tests using IOL punch, using the needle to do the roll in the IOL, but I don't recommend it. I don't suggest it. It can produce tilt in the IOL. The best way to reproduce the Canabrava technique is using a foldable IOL with Acros, because you have 4 points to fixate in the sclera, and this is so stable, and the single piece PMMA IOL that you can use, but it's important to insert the IOL in the sulcus, okay? Today I will not discuss the foldable IOL because I will have a meeting to Canada with Dr. Bacon, that Dr. Bacon invited me to discuss the 4th flange, and I will discuss next week with Dr. Bacon the 4th flange, because this I decide to today to basics, because the basics about scleral fixation is good, and of course challenge case from Dr. Ashvin, because the Agarwal hospitals has the most challenging case in the world, my friend. When I like to tell for everybody, I'm fun about Agarwal family. When I went to the meetings in ACIS, American Europe for the first time, I'm fun for these guys. Man, you don't believe, these guys has about 100 hospitals in India, in Asia. Man, it's not easy to do, right, my friend? It's a difficult, right. It's a hard work. And these guys are amazing guys, so friendly, and work a lot and do surgery a lot. Then, because this, I decided to invite Dr. Ashvin to discuss his challenge case in my channel today. And my friend, let's do you want to discuss something before, or do you want to do the first video?
No, we can do the first video, but I'll just do a little bit of recap of some of the very, very important points that you said. And I think it's very important, especially when you're beginning surgery, especially when you're beginning complicated cases like these. The very important points which you said is people are using viscoelastic when they're trying to do vitrectomy, and or sometimes not even doing vitrectomy. And those are things that are fundamentally wrong. And those are things that we address in live sessions like this. It can really have a big impact to the way that we are producing better outcomes, better clinical results, and so on and so forth. That's one thing. The second one is using an infusion changes the whole game. And you and I, we know this, and we know that how important using an infusion is. There was a question that came up whether you should be using an AC or a PC maintainer. It really doesn't matter which one. Just the fact that you have infusion going inside the eye, especially if you have a bag that is compromised or you don't have a bag. In these cases, you must use infusion. The minute that aqueous touches vitreous, just use an infusion. You'll be much better off than not using. The other one is the incision size. That was a brilliant tip. And I think I use pretty much the same parameters. 3.5 is when I go for a corneal. Anything above that, I go for a scleral incision. And that's something that I use. Yeah, these are some of the points. I do have some questions towards Canabrava technique, but I think I'll take that post my webinar. Yeah?
Let's go, my friend.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do the first video.
So the first video I'm going to show is basically a gludial workshop, exactly how we're breaking this down to show it step by step. We all know why gludial is done, or any of these scleral fixation techniques is done. Pretty much all the indications are here. You have a subluxated bag, or you have a toned capsule, or any of these where bag is basically compromised. But let's break it down. Okay? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock position. I am doing a peritomy and just minimal cautery to stop the bleeder. The cautery done. I ensure now I have a free space over here, 3 and 9 o'clock. I'm using my flap marker. The flap marker is made by Epsilon. I have no financial interest. The flap size that I like to use today is 2 by 2 millimeters in size. I make a partial thickness flap at 180 degrees apart, 3 and 9 o'clock in position. This is exactly how I do it. I don't change my technique for anything. This is the trocar AC maintainer that goes at the limbus level. Look at it go inside the anterior chamber, and it goes all the way in. Once it comes out, it's a self-sealing wound. It's very important that I've gone valvular. I've gone valvular, just like how you would do. It doesn't matter, again, as I said, posterior or anterior. A very important step in this is the sclerotomy. The sclerotomy direction should be vertically down. 0.75 millimeters behind the blue limbus is a right ideal position, under the flap and behind the iris. Next step is the incision. Incision, I make 2 of them. One is a side port entry, as you can see, and there is a main port entry. Loading of the lens is a very important aspect. Once you see this turn, it's a very important one that you should not have that turn. You should make sure that you get a lucky 7 sign. This word was coined by Tom Outing from Canada. Watch this lucky 7, how it helps, because once I have my gludial forceps through the sclerotomy, I can actually grab the tip immediately, and that's the biggest game changer here. It really helps grabbing that tip, bringing out that, making sure that that haptic is now externalized. Once the leading haptic is externalized, I use a handshake technique. So I'm basically shaking my hands inside the eye to ensuring that, again, watch me, I'm holding the tip of that haptic to externalize that haptic. Once these 2 are externalized, nothing to worry. I don't have to worry too much. I can leave everything. But in order for it to stay permanently, I have to tuck it into the Gabor chariot funnel. And I think Gabor has to be credited for this, because this is phenomenal. This is exactly what makes this technique work. The gludial works because of the Gabor chariot funnel. And the glue is a misnomer, and I think it actually helps seal the wound. And that's what I'm doing here, just sealing that wound in place. And that's pretty much a very stable eye. We have more than 12 years of data on this, over 3,000 cases plus of just the last data that we have presented. Can we go to the next video?
Number 2, my friend.
Yes, sir. So this one is a little tilted, but that's fine. I don't mind. This patient was a very important one. Why am I using an endo illuminator here? Is because the cornea is very hazy. The cornea is hazy because this was 7 years old. There's a PCIOL in the AC. So now atrophic pupil, iridodialysis, for bad cornea, bad pterygium, old ECCE wound on the right side over here in this video. What do? I have an PCIOL in the AC. People told me to explant. I cannot explant this because there's an old wound which if I open, it's going to be very bad. So now I have to think of an innovative way to actually make this PCIOL, which is lying in the AC, go into the PC. So what I'm doing right now is made my flaps, put my iris hooks in. Using my sclerotomy, I'm doing a vitrectomy from behind. But most important is now watch me, I'm doing a full anterior vitrectomy over there. I've cleared up that vitreous from behind, ensuring that there's no vitreous that's lying in that space. Removed my iris hooks now. And now this is very important because now you have to first release all the adhesions that the IOL could have had. Take that haptic tip and bring it behind. The second haptic becomes even more challenging because these IOLs sometimes can break. And that's a very, very important step not to do. So just be delicate, slow, and maneuver it behind. Once you're in that space, with just making 2 paracentesis incisions, I didn't make any extra openings. Now I used Sergio's technique over here for my iris repair. So what I'm basically doing is using his 6-0-proline suture over here and 6-0 suture over here to actually thread that needle in through the iris and actually bring it down to size. This was one of my first few cases. I know I left it a little long. I could have shortened it a little bit more, but then it really worked out well. 3 weeks later, this patient came back to me, crystal clear cornea. I didn't have to do an endothelial transplant or anything like that. The patient was fantastic. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, of course, and any questions.
Yes, I was about this illumination. Is a good point for the audience. This is a good point. Yeah. If you can discuss a little.
Yes, why not? So the endo illumination helps in so many angles. I started using them. This was actually told to me by Dr. Susan Jacob. She told us about EPDEC, EDMED. We actually started off over there where we started using it to denote which way the graft is actually held, whether it's upside down or is it right way up. And that's where I started using it, but now it helps us in any corneal hazy cases, small pupil, bad cornea, old scarred corneas, anywhere where I do a blue duct first as a stage 1 procedure and then do the stage 2 as a cornea transplant or a endothelial transplant. I use an endo illuminator to visualize anything and everything.
Let's go to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Audience, sorry because some videos is not possible because it's the Instagram.
Somebody's asking.
It's not
Somebody's asking whether it was a single piece IOL. Yes, it was a single piece PC IOL which was placed in the AC, and probably the surgery didn't go as planned from before. Can we go to the next one?
Okay, in the end you discuss the questions. If you want to send the questions, in the end you want the Q&A. You send the questions, please.
Can you just restart this one?
Okay,
restart.
Let me go. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So this is a sombering ring. And usually people told me to, just leave the sombering ring. But ideally these rings either fall down or cause an IOL tilt if we do any kind of technique on this. So what I started to do is make my flaps, make my trocar AC maintainer. I don't have any other fear right now. And do an anterior vitrectomy. Really don't need them in most of these cases because these are 27-year-old male patient, etc. idea here, what I'm trying to do, what I'm going to showcase over here is basically I'm doing a glued intraocular lens under the sombering ring. When I do it under the sombering ring, I have actually made a scaffold or a support system over which I can bring these pieces out. But what happens now? Look at the visualization, it's completely gone, because the minute I do a glued IOL or any kind of manipulation, the pupil shuts down. So I'm now using iris hooks. And once the IOL is completely stabilized, as I showed you in the first technique, the glued IOL technique, once the IOL is stabilized, quadrant by quadrant, I release the iris hooks. I use those iris hook supports to quadrant by quadrant remove or release those pieces of sombering ring, because these are like cataract thick pieces. They are not going to be emulsified by just a vitrectomy. So I have to burp them out as I showed you, and I'm going to show you again over here. So you can actually take them out of the bag and burp them out of the main incision. That's one technique. Sometimes, just sometimes, you are stuck with a big piece, which I'll show you right now. And if you can see here, this is also a small piece. This also burps out. But the last piece was absolutely, and every time I'm turning positions, I'm actually taking iris hooks out and placing them in the next spot so I can visualize anything and everything. Once I have this big piece, this is not going to come burping out. So I actually have to go ahead and use a phacoemulsification. And you can, because you have an intraocular lens that is supporting you like a bag. And these are some of the small tricks that make big changes for us as surgeons who are doing complicated cases like this. Also, what happens in these cases is iris kind of gives way at times. And I'm going to show you one of the last is very important to prevent optic capture. What happens in these cases is if the iris comes down, then the IOL goes on top and you have an optic capture. To prevent that, always use a pupilloplasty technique. Your choice. I like to use the single pass 4-throw pupilloplasty, which I'll show you now. So end of the case, this patient is doing extremely fine. IOL is in place now behind the iris. The sombering ring is out. Nothing fell inside. Ensured that everything came out, and we used only an anterior chamber maintainer and a main incision. This is the postoperative picture of that patient. If I can show the last video, and then we'll take a lot of questions.
A minute is okay.
So the single pass 4-throw is basically a simple technique where we're trying to close that gaping iris, because that can cause a lot of diffraction and refraction. So what we're trying to understand here is there's a proximal iris and there's a distal iris. On the distal side, make a distal incision. You don't really need one in the proximal side because you're going to go in directly with the needle. So you have a proximal incision, proximal iris, distal incision, and distal iris. Okay. Now, what we're trying to do is railroad between the two and bring that needle out. Let's break this down. Let's understand the suture trail. The suture trail here, understand there is part 1 to part 5. One is external to proximal incision to proximal iris to distal iris to distal incision to external. So these are the 5 parts. Now the people ask me, where do I take the loop from? The loop is always taken from part 2. From the distal, you come to the proximal and take it out. Cut part 5 and loop part 5 into loop 2. And that's the trick over here. This can look confusing, so I've tried to animate it as much as possible so it becomes easy for people to understand. Just pull part 1 and part 5 apart. Just once. You throw them one single pass and 4 times you throw and pull apart. It's as simple. It forms a helical pattern, and that really helps keeping that knot in place. Now, it may not sometimes be a knot, but it holds the iris in place, and till date, we have not had any issues. What happens is we reduce the amount of time taken, you reduce the amount of manipulation, and you can do more number in the same amount of time. So that really is the place where we really want to be. And it prevents in these cases of scleral fixation because you don't have that anterior capsular rim. You don't have that rim of anterior capsule. The optic of the lens does not tilt up. So your iris is the only structure that can help prevent it or push it down. So these are some of the challenging cases where, scleral fixation has changed the way that we've completely moved into doing these procedures and giving really good outcomes. Small incisions, but amazing stuff that can happen from those small incisions.
Thank you, my friend. Amazing case. As I told you in the beginnings, amazing case. My friend, let's go to the Q&A, to the questions.
Yes.
Let me see. Dr. Bernardo Tambeck, what are you doing, Dr. Bernardo Tambeck? Let me see the questions. First one, Dr. George Blanco. How many retinal detachments have you had in scleral fixation? Man, I think about 5%. I don't have the right numbers here, but about 5%. But because this is important, it's important to remove the vitreous. And another hint for you: talk with the patient, with her family. Talk the patient before. Man, your surgery is a complication, a challenge case, and you have the chance to have retinal detachment and another complications like IOP increase. Then it's not your fault. You can do everything okay. You can remove the vitreous. You can do a perfect scleral fixation, but you can have a scleral fixation, and you can add a retinal detachment, and you can have a high IOP. Because the trabecula, the angle, has a problem in these patients because there are a lot of surgeries before. Okay. Next question. Let me see.
I also want to add to that, Sergio. I think it's very important that sometimes what happens is the surgeon who's done it before has sometimes pulled the nucleus or has pulled because of trying to salvage whatever there is or could. They're trying to pull some things, so some traction might have happened from before. It's maybe not because of the scleral fixation itself at all.
Yes.
So that's something that people need to keep in mind, and that just that one fact really helped.
Let's for the next one. Let me see. The next question is. Let me see. Actually, it's for you. About the anterior vitrectomy parameters. How parameters do you use?
So anterior vitrectomy, we can go from anywhere from 1,500 cut rate to 4,000 cut rate. Honestly, it doesn't change. I've used 1,500 cut rate to 4,000 cut rate, and I've been totally fine with it. The only advice that I would give is when you're closer to the iris, use a higher cut rate because it tends to chew the iris a little bit more when it's a lower cut rate. So if you have a 700 or 800 cut rate, it'll chew the iris rather than chew the vitreous. So you want to be a little bit careful on the iris because you're doing anterior vitrectomy.
Please send the questions here in the down. There's a button. Send the questions here because we receive the questions here. Okay. Let me see the next one. Dr. Francisco Mena, Paco. If you don't have a sulcus, you need to do the four-point technique. Francisco, I'm discussing about sulcus, not a back support. And every patient has a sulcus, okay? And you can insert the single piece in the sulcus. But the 4 points, 4 points is more stable. I do like the opinion of Rito Oftalmo. This guy's is for you. Rito is amazing surgery from Brazil. This guy is amazing surgery. I do like the opinion of Ashvin. Let me see the question. Can you see the question now?
Yeah.
No, I'm improving it. I'm improving this about your question for you.
About high IOP after good IOP. So that's very rare. Most of the times, if you not close the port, you can have a low IOP. You can have you can have a low or a hypotony is more chance, especially because the sclerotomies sometimes do leak. And I'll tell you where they leak. Two cases specifically, you might want to suture the sclerotomy. Two cases are, one is you have a pediatric age group. If you're doing this in a younger age group, the scleral rigidity is missing, and so you might want to suture that sclerotomy. And the second is high myopes. Anywhere in these two scenarios, you might want to suture that sclerotomy. If you increase the size of the sclerotomy, sometimes over the night, that wound keeps leaking, and that causes a lot of issue of hypotony. High IOP is as normal as a high IOP of a cataract. There's nothing, no difference. Yes, if you've used OVD, in the case before, then you have an issue of high IOP spikes. And this is what I've seen in the Yamane cases, because the surgeons across the world are doing this with OVD, and that's where they are having this issue of high spiking IOPs.
Next question, let me see.
Can you?
I start off learning curve. Which technique is best for start? My opinion, you start first with a patient with back support and scleral tunnel and use a single piece PMA IOL, do a scleral tunnel, insert it in the sulcus, because you need to start to use a vitrectomy. You can start to manipulate it. And after, you go to patients with 3-piece IOL, but with back support too. And after it, you go to scleral fixation. Your opinion, Ashvin?
Simple thing. I mean, modularize it. I mean, don't try and do too much in one surgery. I mean, if you modularize it, do the flaps where you can do flaps, let's say for trabeculectomies and stuff. So start learning flaps first. Because if you don't get the flaps in the incision, you won't get any of this right. You get the flaps first right. Second, go and try to use the anterior maintainer, the anterior chamber maintainer. Try and use that second. Third, try and do an anterior vitrectomy, but not through the limbus. As Sergio said, please start using it through the pars plana. Either start using a trocar. And these are simple modules. Don't try and do everything in the first surgery, because that's not ideal. Try and find the right case to start modularizing this and then start going into this one by one. But the type of surgery, you can do any one of them. You choose, you decide. Okay? You have to make the call, and you can probably try one by one, because that's the only way that you really know which one suits your hand the best. It is surgeon's choice. All of them have absolutely great results. You have to decide what's best for you. It is a surgeon's choice.
Dr. Leonel here. He's reaching out the patient following scleral fixation. Man, my numbers is about 5%. Okay, I don't know the Agarwal numbers, but I think about these two. 2%. And you're the guy. You need to learn.
No, I just think it's also the fact that we get so many, so the number kind of it drops down as your numbers go up. That's all it is.
Ashvin, you have here Dr. Armia from Egypt. I like this guy.
Yes.
How are you, Armia?
Yeah, great guy.
Natava, how do you regulate your infusion? Active gravity-based infusion? Do you leave it open to the whole procedure? What do you think?
Very good question. There are times where I turn it off and on. I don't really need a gas force infusion or a machine based for this procedure. There are different reasons for that. But what I'd like to do is actually turn it on and off. Off, especially because when I am inserting something inside the eye, I like to turn it off. When I'm inside the eye, I like to turn it on, because anytime any leak is there, it can always refill that bag, and it makes me look like a better surgeon.
Ashvin, Dr. Priya Narang is here too. I'm fan of this girl. I think she works with you, Dr. Priya.
Oh,
Dr.
no.
Priya is here. Is
Okay,
here.
she doesn't work with me, but yeah, you go ahead. What is the question?
The next one. How, Mariana, let me see. I'd like to know what kind of studies you practice the if you need some. White. Let me see. It's not possible to see all the question. Did you understand this question?
I would like to know what kind of studies do you practice in the PO, and if you need some white to white or pre-operative in the pre-operative study. Okay, so honestly speaking, nothing changes in the pre-operative examination. Nothing changes except for the fact that IOL power here 0.5 I might increase based on positioning. But honestly speaking, I have not changed in many of my cases. I've left it the same IOL and I've got great results. One. Second is, I really don't need anything else to change because the items that I'm using also are very, very simple. And this thing, I do definitely need in hand the forceps. I definitely need the blue dial forceps. I need the blue dial marker. And I need a sclerotomy, a needle to make the sclerotomy. These are the three probable things which I might not have, and I probably have to keep that in mind when I'm going in for a blue dial procedure. And the glue, of course, the glue.
Okay, Dr. Arnia is asking us, what type of ProLens do you use in the fourth flange? I use in the single piece PNA a 5.0 ProLens, okay? And in the with a foldable IOL, Acros IOL, I use 6.0 ProLens. Dr. André Berger, Dr. André is from Brazil too. Ashvin is an amazing surgeon too. Do you insert any antibiotics during the surgery? I don't instill inside, no. Intracameral or intravitreal, no, I don't instill in most of my cases, unless I presume that there has been an injury or something like that with a plant or something like that. I don't. And do you use triacinolone? I do. But nowadays I've reduced my amount of triacinolone that I need. I probably am able to see the vitreous a little bit easier, that's all. Okay, Sergio, can you comment on the tension of the 5.0 ProLens in your, it's not pet loop, the tension, you will, how can I say, you need to tension, but it's like a feeling. It's not, you can do it so slowly, but it's like a feeling. Liking in Malbran and liking in Leo's technique. Then is you pull it, push it, pull it, and it's like a feeling with the time by time, like in all curve learning in technique. Jacqueline, Ashvin, for you. Could you repeat the helicoidal knot of polyplasty? I thought true. So I'll tell you what we're doing. Is basically this is the gap. We're passing the one pass, single pass. We're taking the loop from loop 2, and I will put this up as an animation. Don't worry, Jacqueline. By tomorrow, this animation, this video will be up on my Instagram page. But what we're trying to do is taking the loop from loop 2, passing that loop 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just pulling it apart. I will put this up just because you've asked this question. I will put that animation up on my Instagram page tomorrow. Any experience with Carnival lens? No, in Brazil you don't have experience. In you? No, I don't have any experience. But seems to be a good IOL, okay, for scleral fixation. But, yes. Hi, what you can do if you have gland exposure after a week, ma'am? Gland exposure after a week. I don't have experience with it. If you have. No, wait, I know. Next one, sorry. Yes, I don't have experience with it. How do you ensure that the tunnel scleral fixation is the proper size? I like to do the tunnel 2 millimeters from the limbals and the middle size of the sclera, okay? And I go side by side with the rounded knife. Yeah. Same.
I don't think.
One more. Let me see here, Ashvin. Let me see.
One trick, Ashraf, one trick for that tunnel, which I would say is once you reach the cornea, once you're deep into the, when you make that tunnel deep into the cornea, push the keel down. So once you push that keel down, this goes up. So then you're going along with the contour of the cornea. That's one trick to ensure that your tunnel is of proper depth.
One more question for you.
Well, could you both explain about endothelial loss and these techniques? Yeah, I can. In my technique, at least in the glued intraocular lens, the technique, we usually lose around 300 cells before and after. Is an average that we've taken over 100 odd cases. But again, it depends also probably on the prior surgeon. There's so many other factors that really get lost in our search for answers. The prior surgeon, when does that patient come in? So those are questions which we haven't been able to answer. But average, if I have to take 100 cases, it would be 300 cells would be lost, 300 to 400 cells lost.
My friend, you have time for one more question because the live is only 1 hour. 1 hour, yes. The Instagram closes. Let me see the next one. Do you have never Scleral Fixation? Can you explain about public placing?
You have King's Blue.
Sure.
If you have King's Blue,
here, nice the next one, Dr. Diego from Argentina.
Okay. So, Ashvin, what is your plan in case of sombering ring and a small central hole smaller than the IOL optic? Oh, that's a fantastic one. I have a few cases actually of those. So what in those cases that I do is I make even a 3 millimeter opening is good enough for me to get a lens behind. So I really don't need a 6 millimeter opening of that to get a lens behind. So all I need is the injector. I push the injector all the way into that 3 millimeter opening and then go and hold haptic. Then release it behind because I've already done my anterior vitrectomy below. Let's say this is the plane of that sombering ring. I'm actually inserting the lens behind below that. So that really helps me in terms of ensuring that my IOL is up. I hope I've answered your question there. So I need just that much. I pull it out with using a vitrectomy, cut it and pull it out. Just make a 3 millimeter opening, go inside and release it. Externalize the haptics from below, not from above. That's the trick. So let the IOL unroll out below.